Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to talk about the Town Hall. This one was jam-packed with stuff. You should watch the full Town Hall. You should turn off this video and go watch the full 2 hours. But you're not gonna, because you don't want to spend 2 hours watching something. I'm gonna do my best to try and boil it down to about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But man, this was full. So I'm actually going to look at the post from Splinterlands. I'm going to try and touch on things that I thought were important. And I'm going to show a 1-minute clip for what I think is the absolute kind of the most important moment, singular moment from this recent town hall. My name's Dwayne Cunningham. I go by Infidel1258, and we cover Splinterlands on this channel all day, every day. So if you're new, maybe consider subscribing if you're into that, and drop a like if you want to support the channel. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so we got the Town Hall post up here on Hive, and I'm going to try and rip through. On my clock, I see 8:54 p.m. I'm going to try and spend 15 minutes cruising through this Town Hall summary, because there really was so much to cover that I couldn't. I was about to do a video on one point and another and another. There might have been 10 different bullet points that I would have separate videos for, and that's not usually the case. Usually I find town halls have one or two things I care about. Let's scroll through and see important points. There was 6 million SPS stolen, 8 million DEC. I think it was about $200,000 worth of funds that were stolen. It had something to do with they were set aside for some liquidity pool that was no longer being, I guess, utilized, funded. It was a failure through a third party site, but at the same time, it was a failure by us in how we, I guess, left access, that we even had the assets in that hot wallet. It's a problem. It was a mistake. I mean, it's for crypto, this is a relatively small little mistake. And I did see one kind of salty comment from somebody in the community with the frequently asked questions portion of the town hall, essentially saying, how could you ever make this sort of mistake? Every penny needs to be accounted for, especially when you recently were, possibly going to go bankrupt and there was no runway and we had to lay people off. So there was there's tension in some of you when you hear about this. This doesn't, to me, this doesn't scare me, doesn't concern me. It sucks, I guess, but SPS barely felt it as far as I noticed. I think we were around 2.9 cents. And at this very moment, we are at 2.86. So, yeah, it's down a little. But I mean, I don't know. I can't be, this is a blip on the radar as far as I'm concerned, as long as it's not something that's happening again and again. I mean, if you look at the number of crypto problems, $195,000 sounds pretty small. So for me, I mean, noteworthy, but it sounds like they're looking into it. And, that this was a time of chaos for the company when these wallets were being originally funded and then overseen. And, between then and now, so much has changed, including staff, that it makes sense to me that, frankly, it would have been hard to track. I think this is a trivial concern as long as this is isolated. If this were to happen again, my tone would change. Let's move on. Less pop-ups. Yeah, this is good. I find that pop-ups for brawls that come onto your screen is annoying. I like there'll be a setting for that. Not a huge deal. It was cool to hear about the $16,000 castle that was sold, even though it ended up getting relisted for more. That is exciting. It points to true excitement, exuberance, and interest in this project. For somebody to put down 16K for a castle, that feels like a moment that starts to establish the reality of this. Until that sale, you have to wonder, what's a castle really worth? And you know what I mean? It's real. Somebody paid 16 grand. That was big. That wasn't exactly something that happened on the town hall, but they mentioned it. The comments from Matt were really significant and substantial. We talked about a ton about land and timelines and aiming to get, let's just go through it quickly. Highest priority on the list, land 1.5, updating the white paper. There was like an acknowledgement really that some of the things about land might need to be changed, including one in particular that we'll focus on toward the end of this video. This was really cool. They want to do guild updates. They want to do new guild buildings, which I'm excited about. But one of the guild updates that they talked about was that they want to do guild points. And when you burn DC in order to improve buildings within your guild, it's potentially possible that you as an individual would leave the guild at some future point and might be able to recoup some of that investment. And some of it would be left and be like forever the guilds. But this is kind of the first I've ever heard of them speculating about that. In my opinion, and up until this moment, your investment within a guild has been entirely based upon your long-term perspective of being part of that guild and receiving rewards for your participation in the guild. But now, for the first time, there's maybe an expectation, or at least a pointer to a possibility of recouping some of that, which would probably be very attractive to most players, especially those who don't own their own guild. And so I think it's probably a good thing. It's one of those things that might not be directly beneficial to me because I own my own guild, but at the same token, if you make major investments into the guild, I don't see a problem with being able to recoup some of that output. I would say that it would be problematic if you recoup all of. In fact, I think they said 90% you might be able to recover. I think that number might be too high. I say that because guild buildings could be pushed back into lower league levels with the loss of one key player. But also, when you're in a guild, you receive a ton of different benefits. If you're in a high tier guild, one of the best, you're going to be receiving amazing SPS, merit, and payouts. But then also you're going to be beneficiary of large crown payouts that your guild is going to be able to use to have even more benefits. So you, as a participant in that ecosystem, as a participant in that team, are going to enjoy more discounts from purchases. Like, if you don't know this, guys, maybe I should just quickly show you. Even when you win a battle, you get extra rewards for having certain guild buildings. I don't know if you know this. I won this battle. I got 9 SPS for that battle. And I can see right here, I got a 7% bonus in my reward bonuses because of my guild building. That's a benefit that I get because I'm in a certain guild. I don't get it if I'm in a smaller guild. I get less of it if I'm in a smaller guild, maybe none of it. You know what I mean? So there are benefits that you personally enjoy from being in some of the best guilds. And I don't think 10% represents a fair acknowledgement to the fact that the guild is giving the player what the player wants as much as the player is giving the guild what the guild wants. So that's an interesting point of conversation. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on in the comment section below. Let me know, do you think it's good if we did a 90% recovery rate? And, he mentioned that perhaps it won't affect the guild halls because that would mean you have to kick other players possibly. So it's an interesting point of conversation. And I don't think the creative process is complete. I think it's still being thought through, but this was definitely a big point that it would be a big left turn from where we've come, where we've been already. So I think that's interesting. Validator nodes apparently are really actually much closer than we thought. They're being tested. That's really cool, I guess, behind the scenes and not publicly. Just need to be released once our main developer is back from vacation. Love to hear that. And SPS delegation, therefore, will be released in the next couple of weeks, which is amazing. We've talked about SPS delegation and player staking as being an important part of, some people speculate about how it'll impact bots because they need to have SPS. It might impact SPS price because you need to stake it into players to extract value, or if not entirely to receive value to get, I guess, your maximum possible value. And so it should have a positive impact. You would think it should mean that there's more locked up SPS and therefore have a positive implication for the price of SPS. Presumably, we'll see, but I don't see how it could hurt. Let's put it that way. I also don't think that this will be a silver bullet for bots because we've heard and we've learned that many of the bot farms have their own SPS bag already. But I don't see how this could possibly be conceived as as a bad thing, except for one angle, which is one day when SPS is $1 and we need 100,000 SPS to play in Champion, you are monetarily gating the highest leagues. And I think we have ways around that. So let's just wait and see how this looks. But I've talked more than once about how renting SPS will be possible. And right here, there's a reference to SPS delegation. I can delegate from my account to yours if I think you're a powerful player and I want to receive part of your rewards. But more than that, why couldn't we have a rental system? So I'm sure we will. And the collection power going to be going the way of the dodo bird. We knew this. We've known this for a while. One thing that came out of this conversation that was worth noting here, they talked about how collection power takes a lot of bandwidth for the company to track. They talked about how constantly when you move one card from one account to another, or even when you take 400 BCX of a common card and put them together into one card, you're actually changing the collection power of your account. Every move you make is changing the collection power, and therefore there's this constant tracking and accounting and that has to happen in the background. That takes up a certain amount of I would think server bandwidth or something. I don't even know the technical terms there, but it would impact the server costs. And so moving away from collection power is going to be an important point from even that perspective. I've never heard that, but it makes perfect sense because of course, even if you have, like I said, if you have 399 BCX of a common card and you add one more, you actually get a bonus to the CP of that card when it's at maximum. I think it's 5%. So it's like this constantly changing figure on your account. And we're talking 200,000 accounts and it's constantly manipulating the CP on each of them. It's just, since it doesn't even accomplish what we really want, which is people to go, deeper invested into the game in order to play at the highest levels because of how collection power can be gimmicked. Ultimately, it hasn't achieved what it was aiming at doing. So yes, let's get rid of it. I'm for getting rid of it. This was governance proposals coming up. This is where I want to finish the video. And we've been talking for maybe 10 minutes or so. 13 minutes. So I'm going to quickly see if there's any other points here that I want to touch on before I circle back and we finish there. Developments with Weirdbeard. DCB is, this was gigantic. DCB being used for guild. It's coming very soon. That's cool. But the promo card is what I was going to say is gigantic. There's a new promo card coming out May 2nd. So, there was hints at what that would be. There were no stats, there was no name, there was no rarity, there was nothing really given except that we were going to be able to use DEC or vouchers in order to purchase it, which is great to know. Look at this, a game mechanic first in a series opens up a new gameplay. So that's the hint. They hinted about how it was going to change the game. It was going to give a new game mechanic. I suspect this is going to be one of the first multi-splinter cards. I don't know if it's a monster. I don't know. I presume it'll be a summoner. But I bet this is a multi-splinter card. Whether summoner or monster. That's my prediction. What do you guys think in the comments below? That's what I think we're going to see here. Because even when they say here, a game mechanic first in a series, that tells me that we're going to see actually several of whatever is coming next. And opens up new gameplay. Again, we've heard previously about how Matt wants to do summoners that do more than one splinter. I think they call them. They had a name for them. I forget the name right now. But these are coming. Even in this town hall, Matt previously, before Weirdbeard got a chance to speak, Matt said he said we're working on this. And so then bring that to this conversation, I think almost certainly we see one of the first summoners that are multi-splinter. And then next quarter or next couple of months or whenever the following promotion card would be due, we will see another and another and another until 3 or 4 of these, right? Because if let's say every summoner has 2 splinters, you could potentially cover, is there 6? Dragon or fire, water, earth, life, death. Am I forgetting any? A neutral, I guess. And dragon. So there's 6. What would you mix dragon with? I feel like that's not fair. You know what I mean? Dragon with another splinter. I feel that's better than, right? Like, so picture dragon with life. Life is getting a unique benefit out of that card, I think. Dragon with death. Death is getting a unique benefit. So whoever partners with dragon, I think, is going to be uniquely powerful. Am I fire, water, earth, life, death, dragon? Yeah. I don't know how they're going to handle that. I feel dragon is an advantage if that's in fact what's happening. If there's a summoner coming out that partners with a second splinter. So we'll see what that actually ends up being. But there's a new promo card May 2nd. It'll be here soon. Get your DC ready. You don't have enough. DC is below peg right now, and it's dipped, 10% or something in the last few days. So if you want new promo card, now is the time to maybe grab some DC, perhaps. Okay. Validators will be live in June. Tower Defense in June. Land 1.5 in June. Guild upgrades in June. Mini set in June. They didn't talk hardly at all about the mini set, but love it, right? More cards, new deck. Some of you are going to hate this. It's more things I got to buy. I hear it in the comments like, oh, it's just one thing after another. I got to buy it. That's what this game is, guys. It's a collectible card game. It always has been. It always will be. There's always going to be room for you to go, as I've been saying lately, further up and further in. Love you. Shout out to C.S. Lewis and R.I.P., buddy. One day, I can't wait to stand before that man and just speak with him, because I believe I'll see him again. And so, yeah, further up and further in, and we're going to see a new card set. And so that's part of what Splinterlands does, guys. I don't know if you're excited, but I am. Mini set. They also talked about how that would be a partnership, and they didn't say with who. But Agrid spoke about it, and it was as if it was a studio. Like, there's something here. We talked about this before, maybe a month or two ago, about how this could be a major. I speculated this could be Avatar related. I only say that because you'd imagine that a mini set would have a diverse series of characters, good and bad, and Avatar is kind of relaunching itself. I don't know if you follow Avatar. I don't know if you like Avatar. I don't mean the blockbuster movie. I mean Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's relaunching itself, and there's new content being made. So, Avatar: The Last Airbender, new series, upcoming TV series. Will there be a new Avatar? A new Avatar animated series has been announced. That's from January of this year. I've read about this in other sources. Here are some of the actors. Aang, Zuko, June, Katara. So this is happening. So there's animated series. There's also a live action stuff happening. And there's actually a diverse selection of new stuff coming for this brand. I can't give you all the details, but it just makes me wonder, because of one, I think it could be a good partnership. Two, I think they're actually uniquely poised where they might want to explore new partnerships to get their name further out there, because they are relaunching even an amazing IP, intellectual property. So maybe, I don't know, but maybe. Yeah, let's circle back, and we're going to finish the video on the governance proposals. There was 2 governance proposals that Matt mentioned that he plans to raise. And the first was, actually, let's do the second first. Selling Riftwatcher packs for DEC. This is one that they've mentioned before, that they've asked us before, would you allow this? Do you want this? And some of us, and myself included, said no. Said no because I don't want. At the time, we had Chaos Legion packs available, and I wanted to see Chaos Legion packs get gone, first and foremost. Second of all, the SPS was going into the DAO, and I didn't want DEC to go into the DAO, because what would we even do? How would we ask the DAO to sell on our own heads? Like, it's problematic. Even having SPS in the DAO is in some sense problematic, but we were trying to put, through Rift Watchers, we were trying to put $15 million worth of SPS, or 15 million. It was right 15 million at the time worth of SPS into the DAO. And it hasn't turned into that because we haven't sold the packs, and we haven't sold the packs because SPS is so volatile. People don't want to sell it for 3 cents and buy packs. They need to spend $5 of that. That's a lot of SPS. So it's not happening. And if I go in here and I look at failed, one of the only failed ones right there, number 12, price of Rift Watcher packs in DC. It failed back in October. And I voted no. But you might say, you know, this is still the same. Why would we approve it? I think it's totally different. I think October was a totally different scenario. I think this is a totally different moment. And if we, depending on the wording of it, I'll review it when it comes out. But I would say, in short, I would support Rift Watcher packs being sold for DEC at this point. One, because we've actually eliminated a ton of DEC, and that's been great for driving DEC back up. We did that by eliminating from the not from the leaderboards, but from the liquidity pools. Also by using the DECB to then essentially delete a bunch of the DEC, which the DECB gets locked up and can't be moved. And then also with land launching, land 1.0, ton of DEC, a lot of DEC has been deleted. And so it's actually really exciting to see what's happened recently. And I think they said in the town hall that this might be a way to just push the needle a little bit further and get the DEC back to peg. And then ultimately that's going to help that flywheel. So one, Chaos Legion is off the market. I don't mind now, quote unquote, like, you know, in some sense undercutting Chaos Legion because Chaos Legion is no longer on the market. That's one thing. Two, DEC is so close to peg, and three, the DEC that would not go into the DAO in this suggested proposal, it would be burnt. So again, helpful toward the ends that we're aiming at least towards the ends that I'm imagining will be optimal. And so I would support it. We'll see what it says and we'll read it at the time, but certainly I'm excited to see that proposal. And lastly, there was a land related proposal that he wanted to bring up. This is Matt. And he talked briefly, and I'm going to show a clip about this one, because I thought this was the most important point within the entire town hall. He talked about how they want to cap how many production points can be placed into one plot of land. And he pointed out that some individuals with some of the crazy card collections, gold foil alpha, can drive millions of production points out of one plot of land, which deters deep investment in land, which is ironic and unfortunate. And then also it can drive the extraction of value by a few holders through minimal investment into land. And so let's listen to what Matt has to say about it. I've got it queued up here. I think this is the most important part from the town hall.
I mean, there are a couple other things that are like governance proposals that I want to put forward. So I'll mention them now in the town hall, so people can start thinking about it. One of them is land related. And one of the discussions I've been having and doing some math is that I personally think it would be beneficial, at least in phase 1.5, to have a cap on the base production that any plot can have. And I was thinking 100,000 was a good number, and having discussed it with people. And the reason being is that we kind of looked at the numbers and did the math and looked at who owns what cards. And with the way it works with all the bonuses that you can stack together, there's really like a handful, maybe 10 or so accounts in the entire game that would be able to get like many millions of base production or total production on their plots, and far and away dwarf everybody else on just a very small number of plots. So
I'm going to stop it there. He goes on to elaborate, and we'll listen to more of it. But I just want to point out that this is the sort of thing that makes me believe in Splinterlands, the team, these developers, this vision, these leaders. This is a public town hall. and they do these weekly, and these voices are here regularly. Matt once a month, Agrid every week, and Matt is saying, and listen to what he's saying. He's saying that there's about 10 holders that'll be able to get like millions of points from one plot of land. Essentially, that's an argument that he's arguing what I just said, which is some people would be able to extract lots of value, crazy amounts of value from minimal investment in land. That's incongruent with what we've always aimed at, which is to get rewards, significant rewards from Splinterlands. You need to get more and more and more invested. This is he's saying, he's making a point that with one plot of land or a couple plots of land, you can get disproportionate rewards if you have the right cards. And that's going to be maybe 10 people. And by the way, he's going to be one of those people. This is the thing. This is why you if you look at where they've come from and where they're leading to and how they act, in my opinion, scrupulously in moments like this, it's not all out from his own benefit and their own benefit. It's like being thoughtful about what would be best for the game. And he's going to say that in a moment. But I think that's accurate. I think that's what this is. This is trying to build a vision that will truly help this game is, as opposed to certain individuals that probably have, who could and probably know Matt, because those 10 people that he's referring to are going to be people that were here at day one and when this game was launching, who were buying crazy pack amounts, right? So it's like 9 or 10 people that he knows probably personally. And it's like, you could easily say like, let's let that go. Let's let this one slide. But the guy's going to make a proposal to take money out of his own hands. Let's keep listening.
That to me kind of seems like not so great, to have this very small group of accounts that can just completely kind of dominate on land, at least in phase 1.5 and reward share, and dominate the reward share. So to me, if we have a limit of 100,000 base production points per plot, you can still make use of your alpha gold foil legendaries. You would just need to split them up across many plots. And it wouldn't be as easy to stack up all the bonuses. You need also legendary totems and legendary plots and all that stuff to put them on. So it makes the plots themselves more valuable, because you can't just get a ton from one single really good plot. You need to spread it out. It still leaves the cards having value, and it kind of makes it a little bit more of an even playing field for everybody. I mean, we always want it to be the case where people who have the old, very rare and expensive assets get the rewards for them, but I don't think it should be a case where those rewards are incredibly outsized, and I think that would be the case here. So I do plan to personally submit a governance proposal for that. It's not something I thought we should just go ahead and just change, because I know people may have made economic decisions based on the initial white paper, but to me, in my opinion, that was a mistake that we made in designing the white paper, and I think it's better to fix it rather than just leave it, because that's what was initially proposed. So look forward to that proposal coming soon. Another proposal I'd like to make.
No, I'm gonna stop there. I think this is smart. Egrid later asks, like, wait a second, like 100,000, I'm not going to be able to use like all my best cards in one plot. Like, so there's some pushback. And Matt goes, no, you won't. But like, just get a few more plots. Like, if you've got enough money that you've got some of these crazy cards that could push you into millions of, production power for one plot of land, buy 10 plots, 10 really quality plots. Maybe you want occupied plots because you want to extract double SPS. Fine. Like, if this is you should presumably be able to find the angle that you still want to get that outsized return. But he's saying it shouldn't happen from one plot of land with all of the best cards being dumped on it. And I think, if we're truly talking about 10 players being able to completely extract, disproportionately be rewarded. That sort of unique. If the opportunity is truly that unique, it only helps. It's only the highest of the high are only being affected. 10 potential accounts. I know that's the number he's just throwing out. It's probably not. he doesn't literally have 10 accounts in his mind. But if it's truly that sort of niche, that seems like a problem that needs correcting. And I don't know if 100,000 is the right number. Maybe you guys in the comment section can tell me what you think would be more appropriate. But I like where his head is at on this one, where it's like, we don't want 10 individuals having outsized returns for limited investment in land. We want people who go hard with land, buying regions and, you know, who own castles and keeps. They want them across the multitude of land and property they own to be able to get these sort of outsized returns. That is how we go for. That's the further up and further in part. Yeah. And there's more here too, so let's try and find it.
Is not land related, but I did personally want to read at a discount if the price drops, and that's how the DAO benefits. Ultimately, it's it in a token that people do not expect will appreciate because it's designed not to.
Proposal passes.
Yeah, the cap would be on base production, so before totems and
Or none. That said, there are some questions that seem to be out there around the.
So there's a question, follow-up question that Aggro got from the community about the production power limitation that Yabamatt is planning to propose. So let's listen to this.
The 100,000 cap that you're describing. So could you, if your proposal passed, can you kind of describe what, like, how would that work? Is it, you know, I put my monsters, I put my title, I put my totem, and it's, let's say it's up to 150,000 PP or production points. Would that nerf it? Would that lower it? Would it never be allowed to get to that? Is it a cap, or what does it work like in your vision if the proposal passes?
Yeah, the cap would be on base production, so before totems and plot rarity and all that stuff applies, before any of the boosts or bonuses apply. So it would be basically like if you had one max level gold foil legendary alpha card. I think I said all the right things. Like the max possible card you could get, it's 100,000 production, right? So if you have one of those on a plot, basically like you could still add more cards on the plot, but it wouldn't, like your production, you would hit that cap. So you would only need one card on that plot to hit the cap, and you could use other cards on other plots. But then the additional bonuses would layer on top of that. And I think the max bonus is a 450% increase. So basically the max production that any plot could have would be, you know, don't quote me on this, but it's roughly around 550,000 production points, which I think is
a Rooney, a title, a legendary plot.
Yeah, on a legendary like occupied or magical plot, for they give the bonuses to those two things, with a Rooney and a totem
and a title
and you know the max ones of those. So it'd be roughly about that. So I think that's more reasonable than, I don't even have the number off the top of my head now if you combine all those things, and there's no limit on the base production points, but it's like many millions, which is again, you know, would potentially get such a huge concentration of the rewards to a very small number of plots owned by like roughly 10 accounts.
Let's stop it there. I feel like that's a reframing of the same thing, but it's said in a cleaner way almost. The idea that if you have one alpha, gold foil, legendary, max, that's like the best, most expensive card in the game. Some of which, like, not even close to all of us can have that. Even if money was not a problem, there aren't enough. And one of them would satisfy essentially the ceiling for production points on one plot of land. Meaning, if you truly are a guy with dozens of these cards, and you were thinking, I'll put 5 of them on one legendary occupied land, you just can't. It's not going to work that way. And he said right there, it would translate to millions of production power, if this isn't changed on the one best plot of land. And in that way, you're going like, I think he said 100,000 normal production power. Plus, if you have all the bonuses with like, Rooney, legendary, it can get up to, I think you said 550,000 ish. So we're talking 500,000 production power in one plot of land versus millions. And so I think there's still a lot of opportunity for the richest of the rich to get amazing benefit from those elite opportunities. If this proposal passes, if this comes forward and it passes, the best of the best, the richest of the rich can still gain and separate themselves. But it's not going to be this like super unique opportunity where you've got 5 legendary perfect gold foil alphas, max level, everything like that, and you just buy one plot of land. Like this at least will necessitate you to own 5 plots of land. That's a big deal. That's a big difference in the land economy. That's a big betterment to our game. It has implications for DEC and SPS because the buildings associated with the plots of land. And so it's important, I think, that this happened, and I love that they're thinking about it. And again, this speaks to the scrupulous nature, like the good, well-meaning nature of these leaders, because this is them. They are the people that have the cards that could do that sort of extraction of value with limited investment. They're positioned to be those beneficiaries, and yet Matt is saying like, this doesn't feel right. So let's change it. I love that. What do you guys think in the comments below? In my opinion, that was the best of the best from this town hall. In fact, I could have talked way longer, 37 minutes. Maybe we'll pare that down a little, but tons of stuff here, guys. You should watch this one. Thanks a lot. Have an amazing day. God bless.